go, baby!
Welcome all you rock and rollers. This is And the Podcast Will Rock. That's right, we are the show where we dive into the catalog, the discography of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, Van Halen. You know the drill if you've heard us before. If you haven't, welcome. We're happy to have you. And I hope you like Van Halen, because if you don't, that would be awkward. But nevertheless, get used to hearing funny things like that from this voice. I am one of your hosts, Mark Kamier. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, that's a very nice shirt you got on. What you got? What is that?
This is my official And the Podcast Will Rock t-shirt. We've got our website on the back, got the logo on the front. My whole family is sporting the merch here today. Our order came in. So we're repping the podcast up here in Canada. We got truckers and convoys going to Ottawa and blocking trade routes and all sorts of goofy stuff, but we're nice and warm here in Saskatchewan with our And the Podcast Will Rock merch on, ready to talk some Van Halen.
Absolutely. Maybe the mail runs a little bit smoother in the Great White North than it does here. I have yet to receive my merch, but nevertheless, you guys, we do have merch. If you don't know that already, go to our TeePublic store. Go to our website. We have a website where you can go ahead and click the link. It'll take you right to it. We've got merch. Rep it. It's cold out there still, so you're going to need a hoodie. You're going to need some warmth, and we've got it. We got you. We have got you covered. Speaking of the weather, so how's it going over there in Saskatchewan right now? Give us a weather report.
You know what? It is. If we're doing the weather report, I got to play it.
Let me enlighten you people. This baby has satellite comlink. We got onboard pulse Doppler. We got X-Rad real time. Today we're gonna make history, so stick around. The days of sniffing the dirt are over. Oh, and by the way, I really enjoy your weather reports.
You slime! I'm not doing you yet! Come on, come here! Come on! Get your hands off of me!
I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.
And the cows aren't freezing their asses off this week, Mark. It's 0 degrees as we record this. I have a family of deer outside my window in my front lawn looking for food. But it's gorgeous. It's about 32 degrees Fahrenheit for all you American listeners out there. So, our 4 feet of snow is finally starting to melt, and life just seems a little bit rosier. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Well, funny enough, it got a little warmer down here, too. I believe the highest it got was, are you ready for this? 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's right. We are in spring territory, but fret not if you are thinking that spring came a little early. You're right, because when the sun went down, we were reminded very much that it's still February and it's still the winter time. And the 60 degrees was just a tease, I guess, of what's to come. I don't know. This is what weather is in the southern U.S., okay? We don't know. You could be wearing shorts one day. Tomorrow, you're going to be bundled up. And then the next day, tank top and shorts again. There's no consistency. I'm not a fan of it, but at this point, who am I to change it? Because I've been living here for 34 years at this point. So you just kind of make do. No frozen cows, no cows being thrown by tornadoes. Thank God for that one, because we have had our fair share of those, and frankly, I'm sick of it. So, you get any tornadoes up there?
All the time, actually. I had a tornado outside my front window one year. We're right in Tornado Alley. Actually, if anyone has ever heard of a fellow by the name of Tornado Hunter, he's from Saskatchewan. He does a show, I think it might air in the States as well, but he's quite often parked across the street from my house looking for bad weather. So it kind of gives you an indication of where I live. We have a very nice basement that we all huddle in whenever Twister season comes rolling around. And I'm very happy, Mark, I got to bring this up. For when Twister season comes around, I got myself a new book I'm going to be able to hunker down in the basement with this year, and it is a first edition of the now criminally out of print David Lee Roth autobiography, Crazy from the Heat. I just got a feeling this is going to be batshit crazy. When you've got an ego as big as Diamond Dave, his take on things, it's going to be hilarious. I cannot wait to break into this one. So I'll be reporting in with segments from David Lee Roth, Crazy from the Heat.
That is amazing. And it's what's more amazing is that such a thing is out of print. You think anything associated with Van Halen, like, it's not going to go out of print. Why would it? There's too much money to be made. But here we are. You found a rare item, and yes, we're going to have to check back in. We're going to have some excerpts, some wonderful gold by Diamond Dave. We may even make a game out of it, you guys. Let us know what you think. Do you want to hear from this rare autobiography of Diamond Dave? I know I do, because any insight into that insane brain of his and how it works, especially whenever he wrote that, seems like gold. Seems like a great idea to me. So,
well, you know what, Mark?
But
it's kind of
while
funny
we're on this subject, yeah, go ahead.
It's funny you bring that up because, of course, the podcast that kind of got us rolling here, Pot of Thunder, our good friends over at Pot of Thunder, Pot Nation, if you will, Chris L, friend of the show. They did, when they were doing all the Kiss catalog, they did a game whenever they had a Peter Criss song that they would ask one of the guys on the show, whether Andy, Nick, or Chris, to just pick a number between 1 and 330, whatever the total length of the book was. And someone would pick a number, and then Andy, I believe it was, would actually go through onto that page and find something interesting to read, because there was something batshit crazy and hilariously entertaining on every single page. And it's one of their best bits of all time. And part of me is thinking, like, I hate ripping off Pot of Thunder on everything they do, but wouldn't it be great to do that with Diamond Dave's book? Like, I'm sure there's something great on every single page. So if maybe our listeners, and I'm looking at guys like Joel Scott Zerns and Paul Moody and Jim Ragsdale and Will Laynard, if you guys maybe think that's a fun idea for us to do here, hop on the Twitter machine and let us know. Maybe we can do that here as well.
I mean, even if we don't record it, I may have to just make the game out of just the two, just you and I. It's like, hey, let me know what does page 35 say, or something like that, because I'm so intrigued to find out. And at this point, look, the people know we've taken our base of the podcast from our buddies over at Pot of Thunder. They know that. They seem to be okay with it. The guys at Pot of Thunder seem to be okay with it. So I don't see why not. Just what's one more little thing? you know what I mean?
We can even throw in Sammy Hagar's book, Red. He's got a lot of crazy shit
there you
in
go.
that book too. You know, his whole alien abduction. In his time with Van Halen. There's a lot of cool stuff in that book too. So maybe depending on the song we roll, if it's a Sammy tune, we'll read from Sammy's book. If it's a Dave tune, we'll read from Dave's book.
I mean, now with that, we feels like we kind of have to. So I did not know any of that from Sammy's book. That's amazing.
You didn't know he was abducted by aliens?
I may have to. No, I thought that was Ace Frehley over at in Kiss.
No, I think Ace is an alien.
I didn't know.
Sammy, the song "Love Walks In" actually is about his alien abduction.
Well, the more you know, you guys. So hey, if you want us to hear more about whatever this craziness is, let us know. I certainly do. So please get involved in the conversation more than you already are. We love it. We love getting feedback from you guys. We love how enthusiastic you guys seem to be with the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And so speaking of tuning in, it's become, I guess, kind of a segment, sort of. It's like a pseudo segment, but my very special lady friend Christy is an active listener, an active participant, whether she wanted to be or not. She just is. And now that she is fully invested in this show, she likes to manifest a song for us to listen to. And the last time she manifested, she had a specific song from the album Balance in mind. Now, granted, she didn't get that song, but we did spin a song from the album Balance. So now we're going to see if her manifestation comes to fruition this time. And what I can tell you is that she is manifesting from the album OU812.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
Are you going to let us know what that track is from OU812, or do we venture a guess? Or I guess you know, but...
I know what the song is. And she is, yeah, go ahead. I'll go ahead and say it. She actually wants to hear Finish What You Started.
The classic song about
That is
blue
the one
balls.
she is meant.
Is this maybe a little telling, Mark? Are you a little backed up? Is that why she's manifesting this one?
I can fully say in confidence, no comment. But yeah, that is the song. You know, so you know how it goes. Sometimes you get a Van Halen song stuck in your head, and it's just in there, and there's nothing to do but sort of write it out and enjoy it. And
Write it out and enjoy it. That's an interesting choice of words there, my friend, for a song about sexual frustration.
I said what I said, but yeah. So that's whatever the reason. That's the song that appeared in her head, and that is the song she wants to hear, and she wants to hear us talk about it. So she is manifesting. That is the song we check out.
Excellent. Well, I had one in mind too, for very different reasons. Because this week, I believe is the anniversary of A Different Kind of Truth, which is an album we've covered 3 tracks now on this show from A Different Kind of Truth, and I've really liked all of them. There's a couple I gave a thumbs up to, and the other one I've retroactively given a thumbs up to. I was kind of just slightly down when we did the show, but I was just grumpy that night. I'm a bitter old bastard for the most part, but after listening to it again, I really like that song. So I'm really kind of hoping for my favorite track from A Different Kind of Truth, which is She's the Woman. And if we spun that tonight, I would be a very happy fella.
Well then, and I guess I would say I have one that I want to manifest, but honestly, I don't. I think I'd be okay with either one of these.
Oh, you're in a good mood tonight. You're up for anything.
Or, yeah, exactly. That's my state of being. I'm up for anything. So let's just lots of wordplay happening tonight. But I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't leaning a little bit more towards another Sammy tune. I'd be very happy with another Sammy tune. As the listeners will know, I am pro Hagar. I'm not anti Roth. Don't get it twisted, you guys. I'm not. But I'm a Hagar guy. What can I say?
That's why I love doing the show with you, because I love both as well. But my needle points more towards Dave, just a little bit, and your needle points towards Sammy. Sure. So it's really kind of a nice dichotomy. But yeah, we obviously love them both very much. So I'd be more than happy with the Sammy tune. And actually, after talking about Finish What You Started, that could lead to an interesting conversation. So here's hoping Christy gets her wish 2 weeks in a row here.
I really hope it. If so, and just like I promised last time, well, I promise that if we finally spin the track, her favorite track that she it really wants to hear, and I won't reveal it until it happens. I will bring her on the show and we'll have a discussion. But if by chance we do land on Finish What You Started, I might have to just bring her up anyway.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, I have no problem pausing the recording and getting Christy in here to talk about it. I think that'd be really good.
We might have to do that. So, but it is not up to me. It is not up to Corey, and it's not up to Christy. It is up to the wheel. We spin a wheel with all the Van Halen tracks listed on there. We spin it, and the wheel gives us what it gives us. We still have very many. I don't have the number in front of me. How many tracks do we have left to go?
I believe it's 108, 107 actually. 107.
108. Oh, 107. Okay. Well, there you go. So
this is show 13.
It is. There it is. Yeah, it is anybody's guess. It is all the spin of the wheel. So, Corey, if you would please, how about we spin that wheel?
All right. At this point, we take it over to Mr. Hagar.
Here we go!
And the wheel is spinning. Slowing down, coming down. Oh, we're going to get something from Fair Warning, everybody. Dirty Movies.
Oh, all right.
Dirty Movies from Fair Warning. Mark,
Dirty Movies.
Your recollections of this album.
The album, I'm a little bit there are a lot of blank spaces, but this song I definitely know, and it's been a while since I've jammed this song, but I'm into it.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time since I thought about this one, but I just remember that slide guitar, right, from this track, like it's
yeah.
So our first track from Fair Warning. This is a classic Dave album, of course. I believe Chris L said this was his favorite album. I think it might have been. Second track off of Fair Warning. Let's give you a little breakdown. This is the fourth album by the mighty Van Halen, released April 29th, 1981. The album's cover artwork features a detail from The Maze, a painting by Canadian artist William Kurelek, which depicts his tortured youth. I always wondered what that kind of cover was about, because I remember getting that album. And I'm older than you, Mark. I didn't get the CD. I got the album. I still have the album, actually, from Fair Warning. So I always wondered about that cover art. Do you remember any your first thoughts when you checked out the cover of Fair Warning?
I think at this point, when I was looking at, because a lot of times some cover art for an album will influence whether I want to listen to it or buy it. Back when we did buy albums back in the days, kids, a lot of times if the cover art was good enough, or in my case, sometimes if it was just odd enough, I would be so intrigued that I'd have to listen to it. Like, I don't know who this is, I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna give it a shot just based on the cover art alone. So I do remember seeing this cover art, and I had already had a Van Halen influence. So my thought was, okay, that's a choice. That seems odd. Maybe they're going a little bit edgy this time. I'm not sure. It would be a little while later that when I listen to Unchained, I go, no, that sounds pretty much like a standard Van Halen catalog piece. But yeah, no, I don't really have a whole lot of insight onto the cover art itself. What about you?
Just that it was bizarre. But now that I got a little more context from it, it kind of makes sense. This album, their fourth album, I think album sales were kind of waning for them a little bit in this era. Of course, Van Halen 1 did very well. Van Halen 2 did very well, as did Women and Children First. But Fair Warning, it took a while. Actually, it's gone double platinum in the years since, but I think it took a long time to kind of get there. And I remember there's a great story in Noel Monk's book, Running with the Devil, about having to pay off radio stations to get tracks played from Fair Warning, because there wasn't really a single off this album, right? Like Mean Streets was released as a single. I think in Europe, Unchained was released as a single. So This Is Love. I think there was 4 off this album. I don't remember the 4th one offhand. But you kind of look at the track listing. Not a lot of songs that would populate their live sets in future years, right? Besides like Mean Streets and Unchained, of course, was probably the song that Van Halen fans would point to as being the best on the album. But Dirty Movies,
that
another one of those.
That was the one that stood out for me as well. Is like, that's how I remember this album. It's like, well, that's the one Unchained is on.
Exactly.
So that's about it.
Ted Templeman, of course, produced this one again. And this was back in 1981. Albums were a good half hour. I think this one is 31 minutes, all said and done. Because, of course, bands, you record an album in a week or two, you get it out there, you get on the road, you tour the world in 10 months, and then you're right back in the studio for another week to get the next album out. So I think burnout was maybe playing a big part in Van Halen at this moment. It was after this album that Noel Monk kind of promised them they could take a break and maybe just take even just a month off. Now, in this time, of course, record companies were very fickle and saying, well, you got to keep it out there. And I think we told the story before about how they recorded Oh Pretty Woman. It's kind of a stopgap, and that led to Diver Down. But it was, I think, the burnout that kind of led to Fair Warning and the Fair Warning tour that, kind of led to that almost like a compilation album, because it was like half covers at that point. So it's going to be interesting to hear maybe a difference from like a jovial, happy, fun party band Van Halen just coming off the backyard party circuit from Van Halen 1. Now, 1981, they're in a totally different space here.
Yeah, it's maybe this song in particular will influence the way they were feeling at the time. Maybe perhaps even Dave put a little more, and that's not to say he didn't put thought into any of his lyrics whatsoever. I know we like to joke about that sort of thing, but maybe because of the burnout, maybe because of where they were in the headspace at the time, maybe that influenced how he wrote on this album. Maybe this song in particular, as I say, has something to do with it. I'm not quite sure. I've never actually taken the time to look at the lyrics for this song. It's been a long time, like I said, since I've jammed this album. I guess the only one that I really pay any attention to is Unchained, and then Mean Streets every once in a while. But yeah, definitely not Dirty Movies. It doesn't pop up my radar, so it'll be interesting to see the content of this track.
Yeah, looking forward to this one, Mark. What do you say? If you're ready, let's start playing it.
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, your thoughts on how it kicked off there? I really kind of like that laid back groove. You got Alex just kind of getting in the groove there right off the hop. You got a little guitar in the background. I was really kind of digging that.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know if it's a build per se. I think it's just a very chill groove. I don't know if it's good or a bad thing that I got Toto vibes, but but here we are.
Toto, I get it. Yeah, no, I hear that too. Now that you brought it up, good pull. No, there's that build you were talking about, Mark. Maybe talk about that.
There it is, the bell. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Just kind of plucking away, right? And then you got a little bit of that slide in there, and then it kind of kicked into full Van Halen. A classic build-up track, I think, from these guys.
Yeah, for some reason I thought that that sort of slide happened a little bit later, but like right as I said, oh, I'm getting Toto vibes, and then we started the track again. Eddie's like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
You're wrong.
It's me, buddy. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, Eddie. How could I have been so wrong?
All right, let's keep her going here. I think we're gonna have a classic Diamond Dave too, right? With his oh yes and things like that. He's not as high pitched as he was on say Van Halen 1, but just kind of fitting in the groove.
No, a little subdued this time.
Well,
yeah.
And the track is subdued. So look at that, David Lee Roth kind of fitting in with the song. Here we go.
Now who's that man with the fabulous shadow? So obscene, but to me it don't matter. Her movies get down like you won't find in my hometown. They won't believe it when they see what they're seeing. Go see baby now. Pictures of the silver screen. Greatest thing you've ever seen. Now her name is up in lights. Everything turns out alright. Daddy's little sweetie after some damn rainbow.
All right, so lyrically, now who's that baby with the fabulous shadow? It's only one scene, but to me it don't matter. Her movies get down like you won't find in my hometown. They won't believe it when they see what they're seeing. Oh no. So again, David Lee Roth playing the innuendo game here, and I think David is a great lyricist, and I kind of get what he's throwing down here. What do you think?
Oh yeah. No, it's aptly named, even from right out the get-go. He's not. He's being subtle enough, but he's not. I mean, it's just because we all know we all know what's going down here. But I like that he's not just straight up putting it a little bit on the nose. You know what I'm saying? He's just kind of like, no, he's giving it to you. He's like, look, it's a movie, but it's not the movie you think it is. It's a little bit more impressive for this particular specimen, and you're not gonna believe the things you're gonna see this person do. But yeah, I dig the subtlety, but I get that he's not so overly subtle that he's unintelligible. You know what I mean? This is he's making a factoid statement.
Yep. Greatest thing you've ever seen. Now her name is up in lights. Yeah, I think you can put two and two together there. So let's keep going here.
Yeah.
Got the big deal in the back of a limo. Hey. Now showbiz is so thrilling. Like Kim Rowe, she's willing. They won't believe it when they see what they're seeing.
All right, so showbiz is so thrilling. The camera rolls. She's willing. Mark, is this a thing you have some experience with? Maybe getting a young lady and a video camera and putting her name up in lights, as it were? Careful what you say. Your girlfriend listens to this show.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. In the case of what Diamond Dave is saying, no, never done that. I can't necessarily be on the comparable end of that, but I get what he's saying, and I get that what he's implying. So, and if Davis is talking about some personal experience, well, good for him, I guess.
Well, I guarantee he's talking about personal experience. Diamond Dave, at this point, there's no way he hasn't videotaped at least 100 girls at this point.
Girls or
Dudes,
whomever, really.
Livestock, whatever.
Yeah, he's dude. I mean, yeah, he is all purpose, all fun, all around. There you go.
You know, it reminds me of a line from Cheech and Chong, the Corsican brothers, where they described one character as being trisexual. He'll try anything: mud, chickens, anything. To me, that I kind of get that impression about David Lee Roth.
I think that's more accurate than you realize.
Which, the mud or the
With
chickens?
Dave, I think you nailed it. Yes.
All right, let's get Mark off the hook and keep going here.
Hey, you remember when that girl was prom queen? Oh, wow. Take it off! Take it off!
No, you got to like the applause as he's yelling, "Take it off," and everyone's applauding. Like she must have a tremendous body.
See, for those that are not in the know here, there was a time, maybe they still do this, I don't know, but there was a time where you could go into a theater, like a big theater, and actually watch adult films, and maybe you would have the audience screaming out, take it off, just providing their own commentary above everything else that's going on right now. So I'm getting the sense that that's really what this song is all about. It's like, hey, let's go into this very dark theater real quick and check out this movie. Oh, look, it's that kind of movie. Nice. Wait a minute, we know that girl. She was prom queen, and here we are.
It's a good thing you brought up the whole theater thing, because younger listeners wouldn't know what that's about. Whereas I think most of our listeners who are from kind of my generation know gosh darn well what a dirty movie theater was. And, even remember a guy like Paul Rubens who got caught, pleasuring himself in such a theater, perhaps to the prom queen, who knows. This song is very much of its time, I guess, in 1981, because those theaters just don't exist anymore.
Right, yeah.
And I feel sad for your generation, Mark, where you can't just walk into a theater and start masturbating. Now, I know you've done that to Pixar movies in the past. We're not supposed to talk about that for legal reasons, but in the old days, you could do it to dirty movies.
I don't know where you're getting your information, but
I could be mistaken. Maybe I'm thinking of a mutual friend of ours.
You might be thinking of a mutual friend. That's fine. But and if it's the same mutual friend, I'm sure we'll have him on the show one day and he can speak for himself. But what a tragic world we live in, where you can't just walk into a movie theater, take a seat, watch a good adult film, and just just whip it out and do your business.
Doesn't everybody
in
have
front of
that-
everybody? You know what?
Yeah, I just want to sit in the theater, start flogging the dolphin amongst a bunch of other guys. Like, I can't believe that was a thing in the 1970s. Like, you know what? I got 2 hours to kill. Let's go watch Deep Throat and rub one out. Like,
I mean, there probably was an unspoken rule where it's like, we all know what we're in here to do. Just don't look at each other.
Yeah.
Just look at the screen and look at nothing
we're
else.
all in the same boat.
It's like, it's like we're all human, we're all horny bastards. Just like but just don't watch me do it. And as long as we can do that, then we can get through this in relative peace. I don't know. It just sounds very, very squeamish to me, and I can't believe you brought up Pee Wee Herman. Hasn't the poor man suffered enough?
He really has. Just when he thinks he's through it all, here we bring it up on the podcast, and he has to relive it. Hopefully, Paul Rubens is not listening to our little Van Halen podcast, but it just boggles me.
But if he is, I really enjoyed the Pee Wee Herman Broadway show.
And I love the Pee Wee Herman movies. Pee Wee's Big Adventure, Big Top Pee Wee.
There you go.
Both classics. All right, let's get back to David Lee Roth masturbating into theater.
Now they believe it. Now that they've seen it. Go see baby now.
So is he encouraging everyone to get to the dirty movie theater to see his girl perform?
Oh yeah. Yes, that's exactly. It's showbiz, baby. It's a movie. I mean, isn't that kind of the whole deal? Is if you have someone who's in a movie, you have to encourage everyone to go see it so that you can say, "Hey, I know that person. We're totally besties." It's like you make it about you, And if this is a Dave's girl, so to speak, on screen, he's just like, "Hey man, that was her. That was my prom day. That's the prom queen, man. Remember the things we used to do? Isn't that awesome? Look at that. Look what she's doing now. I got to experience that. Wow!" All that jazz. At least I think that's what he's trying to convey. Either that or he's just a big fan. But I did have another thought though about this. These guys are a touring rock band, and during a special time where there's no social media, there's only so many things they can get up to during the day when there's no performance and when there's no partying to be done. And I think a lot of other touring musicians can probably speak to this more, but during the day, your time is your own, and you gotta make do with whatever. And you could be in a different city, you could be in a different country, even depending. So what do you do when you're bored? Well, usually you try to go do some stuff that you think is going to be fun. You do it as a group. I would imagine an activity like this is probably somewhere on the docket. I would be shocked if there isn't just a long list of stories from rock bands talking about it's like, when you guys were bored on the road, did you go into a dirty movie theater? Like, oh, well, yeah. Why wouldn't we?
Well,
it's like, yeah, I would be shocked if those stories didn't exist. So maybe that's what's happening here. Or maybe that's the inspiration for the song.
it could be. I get your point. I hear you. But is David Lee Roth really hurting for ladies at this point in his career? Like, I remember an anecdote.
Well, no.
There's a story in Noel Monk's book where Valerie Bertinelli would, she obviously was on Monday at a time. So she would just kind of join the tour whenever she could, right? And she was always surprised that Eddie didn't want to get it on as soon as he saw her all the time. He's like, well, why doesn't Eddie want to fuck all the time? These guys, they don't want to fuck. She's talking to the other wives, and the girls are like, are you kidding? Like, they're getting it 3-4 times a day from groupies. So, he's not interested in you physically because he's worn out. So I hear your point, and it makes a lot of sense. However, I don't think David Lee Roth at this point in 1981, right? Like, remember, David at this point is just shredded, right? He's got the long blonde hair. He's in the biggest band in the world. I think he's getting it regularly. So unless you know, a roadie or maybe Noel Monk himself was telling him stories about having to go to a theater to rub one out. I was wondering, Mark, and I love putting you on the spot with this kind of stuff and making you blush, but if it was your girl up on the silver screen, is this the kind of thing you'd be bragging your buddies about and saying, hey, come out and check out Christy on the silver screen? Look at what she's doing.
I might not be bragging about it off the cusp, but if it was brought to my attention, it was like, hey, man, I saw your girl in a movie or whatever, and I'd be like, she got a good technique, doesn't she? Yeah, that's all I would say.
That's awesome.
That's all, because that's all I would need to say. Yeah.
Like Peter Wolf said, right?
But no,
in
I
Jake
think
L's band, my baby is the centerfold, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's 100% correct. But no, I just think maybe the inspiration of this song is just them kind of bored and it's like, let's go have fun and go check out there's a dirty movie theater. Let's go see what that's all about. And maybe they sat down, they're like looking around, there's a bunch of creeps in there like just doing their thing, whatever. They're like, wow, why are we in here? But oh my god, look at that chick. Oh my god, little chick. Oh, and they give her a standing ovation when it's like, oh my gosh, she took it all, look at her, she's so hot. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming maybe that's the source of inspiration for this, because it wouldn't be too unheard of for something like that to take place. But again, it's just my guess.
You know what's going to be great is when I read the David Lee Roth book and I get to the fair warning chapter and he's talking about dirty movies, hopefully, and we can get some insight. And if we're not historians by any stretch of the imagination, we're just fans. If anybody out there knows the story behind dirty movies, please hit us up on Twitter and let us know.
Yes.
We could very well be wrong, but I do like Mark's point that maybe, you know, they probably go to bed around 4. They probably get up around 1. They got 2 hours before sound check. You know, let's go to the dirty movie theater and rub one out. Who knows? Maybe that's what they did.
Maybe I don't even think they rubbed it out. They just like went in there just to check it out, just to see what's
maybe
up.
Maybe they're fans of the story.
I mean, yeah, well, yeah, maybe so.
All right, we got about 45 seconds left. We haven't had an Eddie solo yet, so let's see if we got one at the end of the song here.
Oh my.
All right, that's Dirty Movies. We didn't have a traditional guitar solo that we've come to expect from Mr.
No,
Van Halen.
just some noodling ornamentation underneath the chorus line, and yeah, no rip roaring Eddie solo.
Kind of strange, but a different Van Halen song, which I can appreciate. So I'm really kind of interested how the voting is going to go here today. I believe it's my turn to go first.
Yes.
I think out of all the Van Halen, especially the Dave albums, Fair Warning is the one I probably know the least. So I hadn't heard Dirty Movies in a very long time. So I loved coming into this one kind of cold. But ultimately, I'm going to have to say... And it's not an overwhelming that's what dreams are made of. It's more kind of I like it. You know, it's just north of meh, if that makes any sense. So I like the laid back groove. I really liked what Alex was doing on this track. I missed the Eddie Van Halen solo, but you know, the subject matter was kind of fun. Dave was top notch. The band sounded good. I like the laid back groove. So you know, my thumb was like in the middle the whole time, but ultimately, yeah, it's just going to be a little north of meh, and I'm going to give a yay, or that's what dreams are made of, to Dirty Movies. Mark, which way are you leaning?
Well, the answer might surprise you a little bit.
I am surprised.
I probably got a little bit more of an enjoyment out of it than you did, though I do understand your reasonings and the north of meh. I get it. I completely understand that. But for me, it was kind of what you said at the beginning. It's a different Van Halen tune, and yet not so different that it was unrecognizable. Dave is still doing what Dave does best. You still get the howling and the screeching and the sort of swarthy timbre and the just the way he is able to turn a phrase within a Van Halen song, the way he sings his melodies. Very classic Dave. I was a real big fan of what Michael's doing on bass. There's I don't want to say it's not the flang pedal. He's got it going through a specific effects pedal. I know I'm not getting it right, but whatever it is, that was different. That's not what you're usually used to hearing from Michael. I don't think Michael really puts his bass through any sort of effect pedal most of the time. And if I'm wrong about that, please correct me, but it doesn't sound like he is. This one, on the other hand, he does, and it fit. For me, it fit. I think Alex is carrying a lot of weight on this track, more than maybe he usually does, but it worked. And for me, it was I did, like you, miss the Eddie solo, so this is not like a whomping yay awesome track. No, it's more like that's a good Van Halen track. It's different. It's subtle. We kept saying subtle, and I was thinking like maybe it was gonna build into something crazy. It didn't, and I'm kind of glad it didn't, because it would have felt predictable.
Good call.
But this, yeah, and I think what really sold it for me was the subject matter of the song, the content of it, and maybe our speculation of what the song, where the song might have been inspired by or anything like that. Probably had some influence as well, but nevertheless, I had fun with it, and I really enjoyed the groove, and it's probably going to be in my head for the rest of the night in a good way. So that to me is a huge indicator that, yeah, this is a good song you can jam. So that's a yay for me.
All great points. I agree with you totally. It's a little different from this band, and from my recollection of Fair Warning, which isn't great because it's been a while since I've actually put it on and listened to it front to back, but I always remembered it as being a darker album. And this song, is not so dark. It's kind of a lighter subject matter, right? Which I appreciated. So
yeah.
We're going to get into like Mean Street and Hear About It Later and kind of maybe those darker tracks. But Fair Warning was one of the albums when we started this podcast I was really looking forward to revisiting, because it had been a while since I heard it. And Dirty Movies was one of those tracks that I wasn't really that familiar with. And I really appreciated the groove. And I'm glad you brought up Michael Anthony, because I wanted to mention, I really enjoyed the bass there. And if he's using effects on it, great, because that's the kind of thing, especially in the first 12 tracks we covered, or at least the ones he played on, which is not all 12, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. So, it's a good track from a good album. And it's not their most popular album, and it's certainly not their most popular song. I don't even know if they ever played it live for that matter. But you could do worse than Dirty Movies, that's for sure.
Oh, sure, yeah, and they've got plenty worse. Some of those we've probably already covered, but I mean, or we will.
Burning to Sea. Oh certain. My God, that song sucked.
Case in point. And by no means are we saying that this song is one of the better tracks from this album. I don't think that's the case at all, but then again, I don't know. My perspective of this album is like yours, Corey. It's a little bit limited. As I've said before, like, I know Mean Streets. I have heard Dirty Movies before, but it had been a long time and I did not have much of a recollection of it. Unchained is really the song that I know from this album, that like I wholeheartedly know it from, like, front to back. So going into this album is going to be just as fresh as for me as it was for you, and I don't know if it's going to be in the top tier of tracks from the album, this song in particular, but it's a good start.
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess, all in due time. Yeah.
I'm just glad we got something, another Dave song from an album we haven't covered yet. We didn't cover one. Haven't
Yeah.
our first balance track last week. Our first fair warning track this week. So the wheel has been kind to us. I dare say I probably jinxed it. We're gonna get fucking up for breakfast
did
or
you do
something
that?
next week. It's gonna be awful. But
No, we're gonna get a really bad one from for unlawful carnal knowledge that like you just really don't want to
kind of
discuss.
can't wait though, because
I can't wait either, just because I just want to see your reaction.
there's some tracks on there I am ready to rip a new asshole. But some of my favorite Van Halen tracks are from For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. So that is such a dyslexic
I agree.
album for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think for anybody, I think any Van Halen fan you talk to is even if they're gonna argue the merits of the album, they're still gonna go, well, but they're gonna have like little gaps. That's true, and that's like that for any album. Like, no, I don't think any band is immune to it. Even if it's a band that you love, and it's a band that you think can do no wrong whatsoever. I think one of the greatest bands in the world is Iron Maiden. They are not without their tracks that are not so great. It happens. It absolutely
yeah.
happens. So yeah,
Some of my favorite bands of all time, Queen. I love Queen, but there's some tracks on there. Freddie Mercury wrote a song about his fucking cat and put it on Innuendo, and it's one of the worst fucking things ever recorded. But they're also the band that did We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions and all these great classic songs. So I totally get it. And Van Halen's kind of the same, and that's why we decided to do this podcast. Like,
yeah.
75% of the catalog is killer, and then 25 is like, what the fuck were you thinking?
One of the greatest musicians in the world was Prince, and he wrote a song called Sister that I'm not even going to bring up. I'll let you all Google that if you don't know it. But there you go. There's our first track from Fair Warning. We are making headway here. But as I've mentioned, this is not my favorite track from the album. I cannot wait till we get to Unchained. That's going to be super fun. I might not even have a lot to say during that episode because I'll be too busy rocking out and going, "Are you not entertained? Listen to this. It's so cool. It's great." It's that's spoiler alert, one of my favorite Van Halen songs in their whole catalog. So that's going to be super fun. But it's always super fun talking about Van Halen, and we appreciate you guys tuning in with us. As we said at the top of the show, we do have a website. Go to andthepodcastwillrock.com. You can find all of our episodes there. You can find out some more stuff. We don't have a lot of news of what we're doing outside of the podcast to report just yet, but that's on the way. But check out our merch store. We got a TeePublic site. Get your hoodies, get your t-shirts, get your masks even. There's still a mask mandate out there, so you can get a mask with our logo on it, and it looks like Van Halen's logo, so it's a win-win. You know what I mean? But if you want to contact us individually, you can find us on the social medias. Corey, what social medias can they find you?
They can find me at CD Morset, and please hit me up. Let me know what you think of the show. Give us some suggestions. I've had a few fans actually reach out on the Twitter for the show at Podcast Will Rock, letting us know that you may like to come on the show. So I think that'd be tremendous. If you'd like to be on the show, what the hell? Reach out, let us know. We're thinking 1 week a month, probably the last week of every month. We're going to bring on a special guest. We had Chris L come on in January. Still my favorite show that we've done out of the 13, although I am quite fond of the one we're recording right now. I thought we did a good job. We're going to bring on guests. We're going to bring on fans. We got some friends. I got a Van Halen expert who's chomping at the bit to come on. I know Mark's got some touring musicians who are ready to come on the show. So hit us up. Let us know. And by all means, wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, whatever, leave a review. Give us a rating. Kind of help the show grow. We've been doing tremendous, and I'm really excited about the listenership that we have. A lot of people are reaching out saying that they like the show, leaving good remarks, leaving good reviews. So please, if you want to help us grow the show, do that. And if you want to be on the show, reach out, let us know.
Absolutely. You can find me at Mark the Bat on Twitter and Instagram. You can always leave a line if you want, tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. I take all criticisms. It's fine. But if you do want to be on the show, if you want to help support us some more, follow us at Podcast Will Rock on Twitter. That is our Twitter page. Yeah, let us know. We're still working it out, but yeah, I think we're gonna have more guests on, and if, it could be you, we are figuring that out the more we go along, but that is where you can find us. That is where and of course you can find the show on all the various forms of wherever you get your podcasts. But do feel free, leave a review, leave us a rating, help us grow it even more. As Corey, I reiterate everything Corey just said. We are super excited and very proud of our listenership and how far we're growing. And be sure to check out everything else on the Deep Dive Podcasting Network. We've got lots of buddies, lots of shows that go into some of your favorite bands, I'm sure, out there. So be sure to give that a listen. There's so many to name. I can't even name them all right now, but the Deep Dive Podcasting Network, check them all out. I assure you're going to have a good time, just as much as we have a good time recording this show, talking about the great Van Halen. We are, and the podcast will rock, and we will rock you later.